Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Footprints. I am your host, Mr. Davis. I'm an educator at BHS, that's Beverly High School for those folks who don't know. And joining me today on today's podcast is the one, the only, Julia Q. Long. That is Julia Quigley Long. And ladies and gentlemen, what she does, you're gonna love it. She is what Green Beverly really needs. She is, what do you call her? Let's see. I would say that she is Director of Community Engagement. And she does a whole lot of stuff like that. So we're gonna get into what she does and what Green Beverly's all about. But the first thing we're gonna do, like I always ask all my guests when they come on, tell us, Julia, something about yourself that nobody knows.
Ooh.
Could be quirky, could be funny.
Something nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I almost worked for Merv Griffin.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you got to tell the story now.
Okay, the story goes like this. I was living in Ireland for a year after graduating from college and not knowing quite what to do with myself. And I started serving, I was working at a restaurant, at a pub, and I was serving him and his whole entourage and not realizing who it was, and cracking jokes and having a great time. If I had known he was famous, I probably would not have been so cool, but I was really cool that night. And he offered me a job.
I love it.
Yeah.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? We heard something first and new right here with Julia. So you graduated from BHS in 1993, way back in the day, right? And then you earned your bachelor's arts from Kalamazoo in Michigan, you said.
Yep.
There's a song, famous song on Kalamazoo, right? And then, so you got that in human development and social services and social relations. And then you got a master's in international public health from Boston University. Now, here's the question. How many famous people attended Boston University? There's two, actually, that I know of.
How many famous?
Well, there's two prominent ones. Let's say that.
Okay.
Do you know the two prominent people who attended and also graduated from Boston University?
You mean besides me?
Besides you, of course. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
I don't know who Boston University. I mean, was it like Shaquille O'Neal?
Well, no, it was not Shaq. It was not Shaq. Let's get that out of the way. Shaq went to LSU.
Okay.
It was MLK.
Oh.
Martin Luther King went to BU and graduated from there, and Howard Stern, the famous shock jock.
Oh my word.
He went to Boston University. How about that, huh? How about that?
I'm sure there are a few more too.
Well, of course. All right, so Julia loves exploring outdoors, ladies and gentlemen. Tell us about that. Have you gone on any camping trips or anything like that?
Oh, I've been camping my whole life, and I just love being outside. I was just telling my kids today that when I had a corporate job in Boston and then in Cambridge, newly out of college, I guess back after I came back from Ireland, I had, put on the suits, go into town and go on the train and come back. And I said I lived weekend to weekend to just go hiking on the weekend. I just felt like my whole constitution shifted, and it brought me back to center. So thus, the kind of work I do now is very much on my feet, very much kind of organic, not behind a desk.
Not behind a desk.
From 9 to 5.
That's good, though. Also, let's think about this for a second. What do your parents do for a living? What did they do?
My parents, so my mom, she worked as a teacher and for a long time in big hospital settings as a director of volunteer services.
Ooh.
So and community access stuff. So she was at the Brigham and Women's Hospital for years and years. And she also worked with folks that were transitioning from welfare into work. So she did a lot of that kind of work, social work kind of stuff. My dad is a professor. He was at Salem State and for 20 years or something like that. He went back to college at age 50.
Oh my!
To get his degree and be a teacher.
That's
so
impressive.
he's a teacher, and that was his calling for
That's
sure.
impressive. I love it. Yeah. So you've had some nice foundational stuff laid down by your parents, right? Which is a great thing. And so they left some footprints on you so you can kind of decide what direction you wanted to go in with your life. And that's always a good thing. right? We love doing that. So tell me
Absolutely.
about some experiments in the kitchen. What are you experimenting with? What do
In
you,
the kitchen.
do you make anything?
I do love the kitchen.
Yes.
So I am the kind of person in the kitchen that will follow like 5 recipes at once.
Ah.
So it's not that I go off completely rogue, but I also am not sort of like confined to one thing. I kind of get inspired by reading a bunch, and then I go after it.
Okay.
So it's probably like 75 to 80% success rate.
Oh, okay.
And now my daughter actually is sort of similar to me, and she's starting a little business for
Okay.
herself with baking and gluten-free stuff because she's
Oh,
gluten-free. So
how great is that?
it's pretty neat.
See,
Yeah.
so already if you implanted that footprint on her and she
Yeah.
decided I'm going to start that entrepreneurship
It's fun
thing
to watch her kind
right
of do
away.
that. Yeah.
So I have 7 children, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, 4 boys and 3 girls. My youngest son, Ashton, is 19. And Ashton, I always knew Ashton was going to be good because Ashton had his own little lemonade business when he was like younger, and he was the guy that was in charge of all the money, getting all the supplies,
Yeah.
doing all that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it's always nice to like sort of implant those footprints on
Yeah.
your children as they grow.
See them be creative.
Yeah,
with that. Yeah.
100%.
Fiona was a lemonade stand person.
Without
as
a
well.
doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So you like hanging out at the YMCA, working out. That's always a good thing.
Yes, I discovered Pilates and I love it. Yes.
So I'm a hoop head. I just
Okay.
love basketball. I've been
Yeah.
coaching and teaching basketball for 30 plus years,
Wow.
which has been great. And so as you're working out, obviously you're finding your center and you're doing your things, right? Do you ever bring your husband David along with you? Does he ever come to work out with you?
He does work out with me sometimes, but he has his own shtick. So he started running when he was 35. I mean, I way back in high school, I was on the track team and I was all into running and college and stuff like that, soccer and whatnot. But he was a baseball player for a long time, and then he discovered running at 35 after kids and everything. And now he's like kind of a hotshot runner.
Oh, okay.
So he looks more like a football player, but he's a runner. So he's out there doing his running and doing his thing. And sometimes we go together to the Y, but usually it's our own kind of rhythm.
Wow. So has he run any marathons or anything like that?
He has. Yep. That's how we met, by training for a marathon.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that's how we kind of got to know each other and
You
stuff.
got to tell that story.
We're in Cambridge.
Okay.
And living, sort of working both in the Longwood medical area.
Okay.
And so you can get a number either by earning it with your numbers, or you can get a number by going through a charity and raising money for a charity.
Okay.
So I raised money for the Brigham and Women's Hospital where I work, and I kind of egged him on to. I met him at a party and challenged him to run, and he did.
That's
so
the best.
That was really fun. We really had some good chats talking about life and ourselves and whatnot, running around the Charles River.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. I'm not a runner, unfortunately. I'm a hooper, like I said. So that's what I do. I just play
whatever
basketball a
works for
lot.
you is good.
Yes, indeed. So you have 2 children, Carter and Fiona. So what does Carter do right now? Is he in college? Is he doing anything?
Good question. He started in September at Bentley. So he graduated from BHS.
Okay.
In whatever, when you graduate, in May, in spring.
Hey, June, whatever.
So he started in September at Bentley and then came home basically from first semester and is staying home. He has begun a business. So his senior year of high school, he began a business.
Okay.
And it's going well for him.
Wow.
So he's decided that rather than go to school to learn about business, he's going to go for it with his business, and he can always go back to school if he wants to do that. So we're supporting him. He's really motivated. He's having a great time. He's loving being similar to what I was saying about myself, not wanting to be 9 to 5. In the office, he's figuring out what he wants to do.
So how great is that, right? He sees his mom. She's like this, not really a free spirit, but she's free spirit in her own right, doing her own thing, right? And then he says, you know what? I think I'm going to try that too, right? So you implanted that footprint on him to be able to take the plunge and dive in and be successful at a business, right? Or at least try it out. Hey, I got to give it a shot, right? Because my dad used to say to me, if you get up every morning to go to a job, you get to do it. It's more fun than having to do it.
That's
right?
a good point.
So that's always the best thing.
Love that.
Well,
Yep.
good for him. You got 2 cats.
Yes, I
All
do.
right.
Yes.
I used to be a cat person.
I never knew I was a cat person till I ended up with these 2 cats, and now I'm ridiculous. Yes.
So here's the thing. I've been married almost 34 years, and my wife was a cat person because her mother was a cat person, right?
Footprints.
And definitely holds
Literally.
footprints, no doubt. So, and what's great about that is like I didn't mind the cats so much; they were very independent. But my daughter, my daughter Jeanette, who's she's second in command. So it goes Caitlin and Jeanette. So Jeanette had 2 Shih Tzu puppies, and they had a litter. And we ended up getting a puppy. And now I've transformed my wife from a cat person to a dog person. Or actually, I think my daughter Jeanette did it. That was it. That was it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I started to once. I didn't think I was an animal person in general, and then in comes Callie, and in comes Walter. And now I find myself falling in love with bumblebees and lizards and turtles and dogs and everything else under the sun. And I'm like, oh, I am now an animal person.
Absolutely.
It's official.
Absolutely. So now let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about understanding community engagement and the impact that Green Beverly has. So let me ask you this. What are some of the biggest environmental challenges that Beverly faces today?
That's a good question. Biggest environmental challenges that Beverly experiences today, I would say as a coastal community, we are really challenged by the rising sea level. That's a huge one. Anybody who knows Beverly knows Lynch Park, right?
Yes.
And anyone who knows Lynch Park, if you've ever seen it after a storm surge, it's underwater. So it's starting to become reclaimed by the ocean. And other places in Beverly too, but Lynch is just so, iconic. So that's a big one. We also have a lot going on with our infrastructure. So Beverly is not unique to this, but buildings take up a lot. Right, of our carbon footprint. And so we know the numbers show that if we can lower our building heating output, right? Like if we can lower our impact that way, then our city will be in good shape, in better shape.
In better shape, yeah.
We also know that that in general, like one of the most important things that you can do, most accessible things that you can do, is compost your stuff. Compost your food waste.
Yeah, right.
Compost the stuff that's compostable. And there are a few different ways to do that, and Beverly has taken action with that too. There's curbside pickup, which you can subscribe for, and you can just do stuff in your backyard and your garden and stuff like that. There's better ways to do it and worse ways to do it. But we have a coaching program at Green Beverly to help you through what all that means. But the other thing is that the city actually has 2 free places that you can drop off your compost for free.
Ooh.
So it's not just something you have to pay into or figure out that way. But near where the city hall is right now, behind there is one drop-off location, and another one is over by Bessie Baker baseball fields.
Okay.
So you just need to, if you're interested in knowing about this, you just need to go onto the city website and look up composting, and they'll give you a little bit of a quiz as to what's able to be composted and what isn't.
Okay.
And once you pass that 4-question quiz, and you can take it as many times as you want till you pass it, they'll know that you understand how it works, and they'll give you the code, and you can bring your stuff there anytime you want to.
Wow, how great is that?
Yeah, so that's a really big way that Beverly, that any city can really do a good job with staying up with carbon needs.
So that's some of the current initiatives that Green Beverly is sort of pushing forward in terms of letting people know about it. Hey, this is what's going on. Make sure you do this. Yeah.
I mean, we have a whole lot of different ways that we get involved in the community. I mean, Beverly itself, in terms of sea level rise, there's just a huge challenge with how to change your infrastructure, your buildings, and your coastlines, and all of that stuff. And that's not a Green Beverly issue. That's a city issue.
Right.
And we're separate. We're a nonprofit, so we work alongside, and we're very friendly with the city. But we do our own. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We have a lot of other issues, like other ways we can get involved with community engagement.
Yes, indeed.
And help people understand, it's about habit changing. So it's not about just sort of doing something once and being a saint all of a sudden. It's you there's a system involved, and it's plugging into a system and making that decision and that commitment at the beginning to change a little bit about your operations so that eventually it will become normal, and it's good for everybody.
So that is a mouthful right there, and you are correct with that. So now I have a question, because I'm thinking, well, this could go one of two ways, but I'll ask this question.
Sure, I'll give it a shot.
What are some common sort of misconceptions about sustainability in terms of, things going on?
Yeah, that's a good one. Misconceptions, I think a big one is that, well, the word sustainability alone is just like way too many syllables. So like people sometimes think that it's pretentious, or that it's just for people who have, privilege, or resources or something. But what Green Beverly is just about hanging out with whoever's here, and like, just let us know where you are. We're meeting you where you are.
Right.
Whether, whoever you are, whatever community you're part of, we want to just like get to know you, hear about your experiences, and help you over what we call a sustainability hump. Like, what's in your way? What's in your way? So, and not everything costs money, right? Like the compost example costs no money, right? And there are others like that too. Like some people are ready to buy an electric vehicle, and many, many, many people aren't. Right. So there are lots of things you can do for transportation that work with other kinds of, different kinds of folks, whatever is interesting to you. And some people really only care about saving money. And that's actually,
I like to save money.
Right? I like to save money too. And sustainability isn't, sometimes it will save you money. A lot of times it will save you money.
Right.
Sometimes you have to make an investment, and other times you will be saving money. I guess that's what I'm not saying it properly, but
no, I
is,
understand what you're saying.
Sometimes you're going to spend money, and sometimes you're going to save money.
Exactly.
By being more sustainable, I guess.
Yeah, no question. So now let's think about like understanding our place sort of in the ecosystem and how it works, right? So many people sort of see themselves, as separate from Mother Nature, basically, rather than being really kind of part of it. So how do you kind of help people shift that mindset, so to speak, and get them back into, hey, listen, we're all in this together, and we got to really do this together?
Yeah, great one. I think, Green Beverly has a few different ways that we engage with the community. Sometimes it's events, like tomorrow night, for example. We have an event coming up at the Cabot Theater at 5:30. The doors open. It's all about the food ecosystem. And that's just our gift, one of our gifts to the community. It's free. There's food available, dinner, there's childcare, there's transportation if you need that to get there. We have a pumpkin smash in the fall that is a lot about compost education, and it's a lot of fun as well. It's kind of a farmy feel. It's our gift to the community. It's free. And then there's something coming up after this event that's happening tomorrow. It's starting mid-March, and it goes through till like about June 1st. And that is something more along the lines of what you're asking. It's about connecting with nature. It's about finding and offering ways for people to make that, connect the dot between their life, their footprints, right, and what's happening around them, with the earth, with the planet, with the animals, with the air, water. So we have a whole lot going on, and basically what we did was we basically blew up Earth Day. So Earth Day is not enough, that's April 22nd every year, but we wanted to expand it so that we can really get down and deep with the planet. So we have all kinds of walks, we have all kinds of tours, we have all kinds of workshops and things like that. And there's a kickoff at Old Planters Pub on March 29th, I believe. It's the last Friday in March. Okay. And that's going to be like our official kickoff, but we'll have stuff going on even before that and afterwards. So really the way to get involved with that is to keep an eye on greenbeverly.org events, and that's the events calendar that'll show all the options of what you can do.
Awesome. So that's bridging the gap, basically, bridging it, like kind of getting it all up in there and making sure we understand, hey, this is how we can help out. This is where we need to go to get our resources, and we can see exactly what's going to happen in terms of how we approach taking care of the sustainability of what's happening in our world today, right?
It's so true. And a lot of it, like you said, we separate ourselves. And so what Green Beverly is also trying to do is close that gap and have it be a lot of it means just connecting with other people.
Oh yeah.
Because so much is like above us and beside us and around us that it's hard to approach. So if we just talk more about it or think about like, the connections and the importance we place on our relationships in our community, then we start to pay more attention to our community itself.
No
What's
question.
the status of our community? What kinds of resources do we have available to us, et cetera.
So yeah, and it's funny you said that too, because a lot of times people say, well, I don't know what to do with this, or I don't know how that works, or there's so much information. There's a thing called Google, and you just Google it, or you can ask someone who actually has done it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And that way you have a little bit more information regarding that. If you could challenge listeners or anyone out there to change one habit today that would make a real difference in how we sort of see ourselves in terms of sustainability and all of that, what would it be?
I mean, I think the composting one would be the hugest.
That'd be the big one.
I've mentioned it before, but it does feel like that's the one that somebody said somewhere, Google this and tell me if I'm wrong. But it's along the lines of, if we had all of our lawns across the country, or maybe the planet. Okay, I'm already throwing myself off, but
I love it.
A 1 inch of compost on top of any open space, the climate crisis would be solved.
Wow.
Because
just like that,
soil is a sequester of carbon, so it pulls it from the air. And it's the opposite effect of when you actually throw your peels, your carrot peels and potato peels in the trash,
right.
which puts out really bad stuff into
right,
the air.
Right.
So like, there's no reason for us to be doing something that's not composting with our food waste. It just doesn't make sense.
So you're saying, like, so if I were to eat a banana and I threw it on the ground, that's terrible. But if I threw it in soil, it's biodegradable?
I think the better problem, the worst problem, I should say, would be if you put your banana peel in the trash and close that trash, and then put that trash in the landfill, and then covered it up, and in the landfill it starts to fester and have like some gases that are not good, right?
Okay.
If you put your banana peel on the ground, or that's better than putting it in the trash.
Okay.
But where you really want it is in the soil.
Okay.
Where you can put it back into the soil so that it can create wonderful, nutritious soil to create better plants for you to eat that come out of there.
We love that.
But I will add this to what you were saying. Just you mentioned before, like connecting with people and getting the information that you need. Green Beverly has a coaching program, so anybody in any state in any state of sustainability mindedness, right? Just curious maybe, or like have done as much as you can and want to push the envelope more. Anybody who wants advice can go to the Green Beverly website and press the button that says Ask a Coach. And we will connect you with someone who is an enthusiast or an expert in that area to kind of move you beyond where you want to be, like help you over that hurdle.
That's a great way to reach out and get that resources. So now you know exactly what to do. And most people, like I said, I don't know what to do. Now you do.
Exactly.
Right? You go to Green Beverly, and Julia will help you out. She'll take care of you.
I don't know if
So I understand you have two very big influences in your life. Your Uncle Jim, who deeply appreciates the art of travel, right? So tell me a little bit about Uncle Jim.
Uncle Jim, he lived he's no longer with us.
Okay, that's all right.
And he lived in New York City.
Okay.
And he was the first person I knew that learned Spanish for the sake of learning Spanish.
One of those guys.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I was like, you're already the coolest guy ever. And he had really neat stuff from traveling. Like I noticed he just had really interesting trinkets throughout his whole house, his decor. So I really appreciated and he was a gentle soul and just really open-minded. And I appreciated that. And that's a lot about what I kind of figured out pretty early on was that I wanted to travel. It's why I went to Kalamazoo College, because that was one of two programs that did a lot of in situ learning, like out in the field, go internship somewhere or whatever. And that's where I got to, the first time I got to El Salvador. That's when I went to I worked in Dorchester for a while, part of my process of being there. So he was my inspiration for doing that and actually like sticking to learning Spanish as well. So now I'm a Spanish person, and I've taught Spanish and stuff like
Oh,
that.
see, this is a beautiful thing, right? So think of the footprint that Uncle Jim put on you,
It's amazing.
right?
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that we go through our lives every day and people put all these footprints on us and we never know, right, how we're going to carry those forward or how they're going to affect us.
Yeah.
But yours is wonderful. You've taken that in a positive way, and Uncle Jim said, hey, this is what I like to do. Check this out. And you went, you know what? I think I'm going to do that too, right?
Yeah.
And you just carry it with you, and it's a beautiful thing.
I love how you
You know what I mean?
that. I love
No,
how
it
you say
is.
that.
It's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Then Aunt Mary was also one who was very, very instrumental in your life, right? She really took seriously the responsibility of the ecosystem and how we're really got to be part of that whole thing. And that probably prompted you to do what you're doing now with Green Beverly for the most part. Tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, so I mentioned about my hiking and stuff like that. She's the first person that introduced me to hiking.
Okay.
And she lives out in the western part of the country, actually up in Canada. And she took me on my first like overnight hike, and she was teaching me about zero, leave no trace. And she was teaching me about, waste, just like the importance of sort of being mindful about where you put your footprints, right?
No doubt.
And things, very careful things, like not even stepping on like green growth. You need to stay on the path because that's a respectful way to hike.
Okay.
So that the path doesn't become eroded and lose its allure and its structure for future hikers. So she and in the process of my continuing to explore the world and travel through college and after college and stuff, she would often come out and find me, and we'd travel together out in wherever we were.
Wow, that's
so Ecuador.
Cool.
We hung out a little bit, and she took me whitewater rafting in Idaho for a week when I was 15, and
wow,
it was just a lot of cool stuff.
How great is that?
Yeah.
My goodness. I mean, that's a life well lived right there. You know what I mean? Really getting these different experiences. And those are the footprints that are left on us by those who love us, which is awesome. And that's what we love to do, push those forward, right?
Yeah.
How great is that? So if money were no object, I would say to you, Julia, no object at all, where would you like to vacation and why? And who would you take with you?
Oh my goodness. I need 20 seconds. If money were no object.
Money were no object. We don't care
where
about
would I
anything.
vacation and
Yes.
why? Okay. I would like to hike the Patagonia,
Oh, okay.
South America.
Right.
I would like to do that, and I would take anyone who would be willing to come, honestly, because I love every person. Like, this is a thing. I do love every single person. I love meeting people. I love learning about who they are and what makes them tick. Like, honestly, if somebody is up for traveling with me to hike Patagonia, like I would go with any person that comes with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that? I'm not a hiking type of a guy. I think I'd be driving the Patagonia.
That's okay, too. That's fine. I would have coffee with you afterwards and share all my stories.
Absolutely. I'd have a cup of coffee. Why not? Definitely. So another question, too. And so throughout history, we've had a lot of people who have left a lot of footprints in the world. So if you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, throughout history, could be a musician, could be a famous actor, anybody, who would it be and why? What would you guys talk about?
You are asking some real doozies. Who would I have dinner with?
Yes.
You know, the first person that came to mind, I'll just say that because she just came right forward.
Yeah.
Anne Frank.
Oh, okay. And why Anne Frank?
Because I will say she was a young person at a time of extreme stress. And, you know, I just appreciated her the pilot light stayed on with her.
Right.
You know, she just kept the pilot light on. I mean, she just kept it on. And that you know, that allowed for other people to then see some light as well when it was really dark.
Yeah.
So I just appreciate people who are able to do that at a time when things look kind of dire.
Yeah, no question. For me, I had a couple different people. Kobe Bryant was one. I'd met Kobe a couple of times. Shameless plug, I'm a coach of the Celtics during the summertime. That's what I do during my summer. That's my summer job. Been doing that for a number of years. Haven't done it so much lately because I got my hip replaced, but that's another story. But I would just ask him, like, wow, you're like 17 years old and you're coming into a men's league. How is it that you could think that you could affect this league the way that you do and have done? Really kind of inspired me to look at a guy who came in, tons of confidence, but that's all he had. And he had to work for everything he got. So to me, that would be one guy would be like, hey, man, how did you do that?
I have some questions for you.
Yeah, I got some questions for you. Like, how'd that come about?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other one was, we talked earlier, Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was really huge in my era. Well, I mean, back in the 1962, I was born, and when he got assassinated in 68, that was a huge event that shifted everybody's thinking. But I would ask him, like, sitting down with him, what did you think about why nonviolent? Like, why did you think that would work? Like, how did you know that was going to galvanize people and bring them together, right? And so I would just want to know from his perspective, you know, why he thought that was something that would work. And it has worked, actually. I mean, we've come a long way. Still a long way to go, but we have really come tremendously a long way, and we've got some work to do, which is good. And I think he'd be kind of proud of where we are today, even though, you know, there are certain sections of society that are not quite up to snuff. But I mean, that happens, and as we continue to grow as people, you know, hopefully that'll be evened out, that'll work itself out, and I'm sure it will at some point.
You know, I would like to come with you to that dinner.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
If you don't mind, could I also
absolutely.
come to that one?
Yeah, come on, the more the merrier.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know Kobe. I mean, I don't know much about basketball, but
he was
MLK man.
Yeah, MLK is definitely the man. You know what I mean? Well, Julia, I see by the clock on the wall that it's time for us to go, and I hate for this conversation to end. It's been wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a great conversation with Julia Q. Long, a lifelong resident of Beverly, and also a director of community engagement for Green Beverly. And it's been my pleasure to speak with her today. And before we go, just to let you know that our podcast here is streaming on all these services, Footprint. So you can search me, Anthony Davis, and it's on Spotify, which we love. It's on Podbean, Podcast Republic, Overcast, Podcast Addict, and also CastBox. You can just download these apps and you can search us up. And hopefully you've enjoyed the conversation and learned some sustainable stuff about what Green Beverly can do for you. As we leave, ladies and gentlemen, I always ask this question, and I hope you think about it. Who left a footprint on you? I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.